I was gonna watch a J-drama tonight. Then I forgot that plan. Figured I'd get my little chat popped out. Alright, sorry about the crinkly. It crinkles less when I'm in frame. See, crinkly, crinkly, crinkly. Less crinkly. As long as I stay in frame, it should be less crinkly. I think we have this set up. So if I just press play once again, I promise you, I'm wearing pants. There's just a lot. They're shorts. I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. I promise I have bottoms on. I promise I'm dressed for this line of work, which is not prostitution. Okay. Let me check. Okay, yeah. Let me get started in a race. We have not played the 6th cup on this? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We've not played that one at all. Alright, let's pop through it. Once again, it's just gonna be me playing Mario Kart and listening to a Morbid podcast. I hope you enjoy.
And ad-free on Amazon Music.
Well, listen
Download
to the ads
today.
Hey there, fellow podcast listener. It's Elena.
And Ash. On our podcast, The Rewatcher, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we are taking it back to 1999. Join us as we slay our way through Buffy's drama, action, and romance, episode by episode. Listen to The Rewatcher, Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, weirdos, I'm Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this is Morbid.
I think we're gonna listen through. Oh, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna listen through the ads because I have gotten hundreds of hours of content from these ladies. The least I can do is allow their ads to play, and maybe you'll buy something, and maybe Morbid will be great. So we're gonna listen to the ads also, so I don't have to worry about pausing this, clicking that, blah 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 blah. There we go. Alright, let's get going. I hope the sound's okay.
From the sounds of it, it's morbid.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. It's fucking crazy. This case is berserk. Berserk. This case, as Caleb would say, goes crazy.
I love when Caleb says that something goes crazy.
He's like, that's the way he says it. That's fine. It's like a face that he makes when he says it. Like, that goes crazy.
Yeah.
But it's better. It's way better, actually.
It's just it's a way.
Yeah.
It's a way, it's a vibe, it's a feeling, it's an emotion.
It is
what it is.
It's snowing here.
It is. It's like
sleeting.
It's like fat snowing. Like
fat
big fat
snowing.
Snow coming down from the...
Like fluffy snow.
It's flowing.
It's what it's flowing.
It's snowing.
Yeah, what? What was the last one?
It's snowing.
No, you slowly lost it.
Well, because I added an L where one couldn't be.
Yeah, no.
You know, flowing sounded good, but snow and fat does not have.
Is it
an L in
foeing?
It would be foeing, if anything.
Yeah, guys, we're a little tired today. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Fry-yizzle.
There you go.
You're like, I'm not saying that.
It's all that. It's all
and a
of
bag
that.
of chips. Okay, yeah, but we gotta get into this. My coffee has weaned the fuck off.
Yeah, it's just one of those days, you know? It's after the holidays. Getting back into it. It's a lot of recordings.
I'm gonna use.
You're getting the like crazy punchy us.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using like it's after the holidays. I'm gonna start saying that in like July.
100%, it's still
It's
after,
after
the holidays.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say that to fuck with people.
Or you could say it's almost the holidays.
It's almost the holidays.
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
could just
stress the fuck out.
because it's always either after the holidays or almost the holidays at some point.
Pretty much.
So I think it's valid.
I like it.
I think it's pretty valid.
I am into it.
Do it.
I don't have anything else. All right, so my case is, like I said, it's pretty fucking out there.
Okay.
We are heading over to Mountain City, Tennessee, which is one of my favorite states to spell. It's actually my favorite state to
Really?
spell.
And smell, I bet.
I've never smelled it. I've never been to
Barbecue.
Tennessee.
I would assume would smell really good there.
Yeah, probably.
Nashville?
And the whiskey.
Yeah, Nashville's got to smell great.
Yeah, I want to go to Nashville.
Come,
Me
come,
too.
come,
I think everybody does at
We
some
should do
point.
that.
Yeah, totally. Let's just go to Nashville.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I got to do a project about Tennessee once, and it made me happy. Like in school. Remember the state project?
I do remember
Mine was
that.
Tennessee, and ever since then I was like, I like Tennessee.
Mine was Wisconsin.
Boring.
Yep. Sure was.
Loses entire Wisconsin listener base.
I love you guys. I did you proud.
I'm just kidding. No, Wisconsin. Is there like cheese in Wisconsin?
Yeah, cheese is a very big part of
Not boring at all.
yeah, I love cheese. So
Yeah.
worked out for me.
I love it there. All right, well, yes. So we're going to talk about a case that became known as the Facebook murders.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know if I know this.
I don't know if you will, but I think you'll start. If you do know it, I think you'll know pretty early on that you know it.
If you know, you know.
Ick,
Oh.
yick.
There
I'm
you go.
glad I
So
should
this
have done
case
that.
has like a little bit of everything. It's a little smorgasbord, if you will. There's
Eek.
a family murder plot,
Oh,
a CIA
Plot?
agent,
oh,
Facebook,
Facebook.
manipulation, catfishing, and conspiracy theories galore.
Wow.
Good.
Everything after Facebook is all describing Facebook.
Yeah, of course. Manipulation, catfish, and conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
totally.
that's just like what will I find on Facebook? Well,
I think I still have a Facebook. I gotta get rid of that.
mine's gone.
Mine is gone. I want to like download my pics
Yeah,
and then
smart.
yeet it into
And
oblivion.
then get out of there.
Yeah, but sadly, this case, back to it. Sadly, in January of 2012, 2 bodies were found in Mountain City, Tennessee. They were the bodies of 36-year-old Billy Bill Payne and his 23-year-old girlfriend, Billie Jean Hayworth.
Jeez.
For the sake of the story, I'm going to refer to Billy Payne more as Bill and Billie Jean as Billie Jean.
Okay.
So Bill Payne's throat had been cut and the couple had both been shot in the face.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In the
When they were
face?
found, their 7-month-old son was still in his mother's arms, luckily found alive and unharmed,
Oh my God, that's awful.
but found sleeping in his mom's arms still.
oh,
Horrible. That's the worst part of this entire thing.
oh my God.
Now, it only took the police a week to arrest the men responsible for these murders. They were Jamie Curd, Bill Payne's second cousin,
What?
and Marvin, better known as Buddy, Porter. The latter man's daughter, Janelle, had originally been friends with the couple, but more recently, they had become her mortal enemies.
Mortal enemy.
Now, the case seemed pretty simple at first. It seemed like a father seeking revenge for his daughter, who claimed that the murdered couple had been behind a string of online bullying and threats directed at her. But this case would turn out to be incredibly more convoluted and so much more bizarre than anyone could have ever expected. By the time the detectives got to the truth, an entire family would be behind bars, and the small serene town of Mountain City would be absolutely gobsmacked.
Whoa. You really set that up.
I did.
Damn. I feel like I felt like I was entering into a Dateline episode.
Well, Keith is over there, and you know what? He's looking at
is.
me all proud.
He is.
Yeah.
Keith is standing next to us with his hands in his pockets. Keith Morrison is standing next to us.
Yeah, Converse on.
He's just here in the pod lab all the time.
Yeah, always.
And he's standing there in his Converses
Ah,
with his
yeah.
hands
Aha.
in his pockets, and he's looking at you like,
He's
"Good
like,
job,
Gobsmacked. Nice
well
use
done."
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, at the center of this case is a young woman named Janelle Potter, excuse me. She was in her late 20s to early 30s during the time that we're going to talk about today. But there are a lot of different ideas and arguments about if Janelle was really operating with a 30-year-old's brain. According to her mother, she had the brain of an elementary school child, but obviously looked to be a grown woman. Janelle was born to parents Barbara and Marvin, like I said, better known as Buddy Potter, and she was born in Pennsylvania in 1981. According to her sister Christine, Janelle was, quote, a little bit slower in learning and in developmental capacity, meaning she struggled academically. She had some uncomfortable moments with her peers throughout teenage years, especially.
Yeah.
And she was also managing type 1 diabetes. She had been diagnosed when she was younger, and it was something that really affected her self-confidence. She was said to have many health issues in addition to diabetes, but it doesn't seem like those were ever elaborated on or specified.
Okay.
To many, she came off as, quote, a little bit odd, especially when it came to reasoning and interactions with others. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Since she had her fair share of struggles, she wasn't always comfortable in social situations, and she spent a lot of time either by herself or just hanging out with her parents. Her sister Christine said that Janelle was very coddled. She used the word coddled by her parents, and said that the parents never really taught Janelle how to deal with her problems directly, and instead, most of the time, they would resolve issues that she was having for her, instead of showing her, like, this is how you can take care of that. She felt like her mother, Christine felt like her mother in particular, emphasized Janelle's social, physical, and intellectual disabilities. And it seemed like this really fed Janelle's negative self-image and exacerbated her inability to develop any kind of healthy relationship or any kind of really social skills.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, Janelle's sister wasn't solely placing the blame on their mother. She also felt like Janelle knew how to manipulate her parents as well as other people into doing what she wanted them to do. And because Christine didn't really agree with most of what was going on and how it was being handled, it put a strain on her relationship with her family, especially Janelle. These two sisters did not get along at all.
Okay.
Now, in late 2004, their father, Buddy, decided that it would be a good idea to relocate the family from Philadelphia to Mountain City, Tennessee. Christine and Janelle's relationship at this point had become so deteriorated that Christine actually decided not to go with her family. She ended up moving in with her grandmother, and at this time she actually took out a restraining order on her sister due to her sister's harassing and threatening behavior.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if the move was like solely to help Janelle, like if her parents thought a change of scenery might help her struggles, or if it was like for various reasons, but it really didn't seem to help her in any way. She felt like it was even harder to make friends out in Mountain City, she said, because she wasn't born and raised there and that the people there didn't like outsiders. This was really also like around the boom of social media, so that became Janelle's like cocoon, if you will. Instead of having to go out and make friends and make connections face to face, she could log into the internet, craft any persona she wanted, and communicate to anybody anywhere from the comfort of her own home.
Yeah, and that is the first step into why social media is terrible.
Is a farce.
Yeah.
I like that word. So that was pretty much the only way Janelle communicated with the outside world until like 2009.
Wow.
Now, at some point in 2009, she ran out to the local Food Lion to pick up a prescription, and a woman named Tracy Greenwell was working there. And she could kind of recognize that Janelle was a bit awkward and didn't necessarily have fantastic social skills. But instead of avoiding Janelle, she decided, like, why don't I try and befriend her? She doesn't seem like she has a lot of friends. And she has, like, she's kind of not new here, but she's been here a while and hasn't made friends with anybody. Tracy went out of her way to call Janelle. She would invite her out with her own friends so that she wouldn't be cooped up at home all the time with, like, just her parents as companions. I say, in a world full of assholes, be a Tracy.
Oh, there you go.
So Janelle's parents, who have been described many, many times over as very overprotective, they wanted Tracy to come over to the house for a couple times before they allowed Janelle to go out with her.
Okay.
Now remember, she's in her 20s, 30s, so...
Yeah, so that's like a different
it's
scenario. Because at first I was
also-
like, I get that, but then
She's not a teenager, she's not a
teenager.
child.
Yeah.
According to her mother, she is a child, but
So, yeah.
you
So
know-
it's very convoluted.
Yeah, exactly. So once they were confident, though, that Tracy was good company, they did allow Janelle to go out with her. And it wasn't long before Janelle bonded with Tracy's group of friends. She was regularly hanging out with them. They took her rock climbing. There's like pictures of them hanging out together. It looked like they all had a great time.
Yeah.
Now, part of the friend group was Tracy's brother, Billy Payne. Janelle immediately took a liking to Billy, who, like I said, was also referred to as Bill. Whenever the group would go out, both Tracy and Bill Bill too went out of his way to include Janelle. He was like a good guy, just like his sister. The district attorney who would later become involved in this case, Dennis Brooks, felt like it was during this time that Janelle developed feelings for Bill Payne.
Uh-oh.
He, quote, included her in social occasions, like I said, going rock climbing or just hanging out. To someone like Janelle, who led such a boring and sheltered life, that must have seemed like something special.
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's
Well,
a
and
quote.
he's a nice guy.
Exactly.
Sounds like he's just like a very, very decent, very nice guy.
The way he was described was a nice guy who had time for anyone.
Ah!
Well, and of course, I'm looking at pictures, and he just has like a very kind face.
He does.
And both Billies do.
I was
Like,
going to
I'm just
say
like,
Billie
oh,
Jean
Oh,
and
but,
Billie Payne.
frick, we were so
And
close.
cute.
So the thing was, it wasn't long before Janelle's feelings turned into an obsession with Bill.
Oh no.
Even though she kind of seemed to be able to hide it from her friend group for a little while, things would
Take
not
it, take it, take it,
remain
take it,
that
take it.
way. Now, like I said, even though Janelle was in her late 20s by this point in time, she'd never had any kind of romantic relationship or relationship at all with anybody before. And since she wasn't upfront about how she felt about Bill Payne, he didn't know, and
Yeah.
neither did Tracy. So instead, the brother-sister duo thought it would be a great idea actually to set Janelle up with a great guy that they knew,
Yeah.
their second cousin, Jamie Curd.
Okay.
It's a
Jamie
lot
had
of-
grown up in Mountain City just like his cousins and shared a lot of the same friends. He was a part of the larger friend group that Janelle was now in at this time.
Okay.
And Jamie and Bill also worked together at the Parkdale Mills.
Okay.
Jamie and Janelle hit it off instantly. But, like I said, Janelle's parents were very overprotective, so Janelle thought it would be a better idea if she kept this relationship a secret from them. At first, her and Jamie would just have, quote, 30 to 45 second phone calls with each other. And on one of those phone calls, Janelle mentioned to Jamie that her computer seemed to be having some kind of issue lately, like she couldn't get it to work. So he offered to come by and fix it. And he came to the house several times a week to keep working on this computer. And Janelle told her parents that she just knew him through a friend, or she made up some kind of story.
Yeah.
But the whole time he was fixing her computer, which took hours and hours, days and days, she would sit with him and they would just chat until he was finished for the day.
Yeah.
So they were,
It sounds like a meet cute. Like a very
it's
cute,
a really,
like,
Yeah, it's a cute meet cute.
Yeah, good meeting.
Exactly. Now, once the computer was finally fixed, though, Janelle and Jamie needed a new way to keep in regular contact without being caught by Janelle's parents. So, Jamie came up with the idea to get Janelle a separate, prepaid cell phone that she would only use for calls to him. Janelle agreed. She was like, this is a great idea. And to add to the thrill of the secret, she, quote, instructed Jamie to hide the cell phone in a bush at the corner of her front yard where she could retrieve it.
See, that just sounds like a girl, like a young woman who
Yep.
has been sheltered her whole life. This is very exciting.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to live out my, book fantasy.
Totally.
here
Of course.
By, leave it in the bush in the corner of the yard and I'll go get it.
She ends up being described as very into fantasy.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I see that. Like, that
Immediately.
excited her that she was like, ooh, I get to do this, little mission to go get it.
I love that you
Like,
caught that.
it's exactly what I thought of. Because
Yeah.
it's like this, clandestine thing. Like, I get to go get it from the bush in the corner. You leave it for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm sure she's seen a million fucking movies at
Of
this
course.
point and a million TV shows, and she's like, oh, I have to do it
Who
like this.
doesn't want to be a book character? Who doesn't?
Me, I want to be a book character all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
You know?
Still not quite familiar with this map, so these inks are actually killing me. Second map, the Rose Garden, or Daisy Garden, here for it.
Did you know that property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike over the winter? That's why now is the best time to secure your home with award-winning home security. Simply Safe is the home security system that I personally recommend to literally everybody. Make it your New Year's resolution. Start the new year with a greater peace of mind and safety for you and your family. I love it because I can deck my freaking house out with cameras. Every inch of my property is covered. I know what's happening in the back corner. I know what's happening at the front door, and it's all super, super clear HD monitoring. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology, which is exclusively
Frick.
from Simply Safe. They will capture critical evidence and verify that the threat is real, so you can get priority police response. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. HD security cameras, like I was telling you, they have those for inside the house and out. There's smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that
That blue
detect
shell
fires,
killed me.
floods, or other threats. And 24/7 professional monitoring service costs under $1 a day.
Ah,
With the top-rated
frick. I thought
Simply
that I
Safe
had a-
app, stay in complete control of your system, anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust system settings. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/morbid. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off your order with interactive monitoring. That's simplysafe.com/morbid. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
I'm reset.
A
That was
teen
bad
solo
luck.
hiker is terrorized for days by unknown figures dressed in white.
I wanna listen
Two
to this
cops quit
podcast.
their jobs at a local theater because of encounters with an alleged demon. An isolated forest in Canada where people keep turning up headless. These are just a few of the unbelievable stories you'll hear on the Mr. Ballin podcast on Amazon Music. Each week, you'll hear about inexplicable encounters, shocking disappearances, and other strange, dark, and mysterious stories. And they are all true. Like the case of Haley Zaga. She disappeared on a hiking trail for 51 hours, and when she was found again, she said a friend helped her survive. And this friend of hers exactly matched the physical description of a little girl who had gone missing in that exact spot 23 years earlier and who had never been found. Hey Prime members, listen to the Amazon Music exclusive podcast, Mr. Ballin Podcast, Strange, Dark, and Mysterious Stories in the Amazon Music app. Download the app today.
So the couple's plan worked for a few weeks, but eventually Janelle's mother, Barbara, which I'm just now realizing is very Teen Mom-esque.
Oh yeah, Janelle and Barbara. I forgot
She
about
found
that.
out about the phone and she got rid of it. No more making calls with your boyfriend.
Wow.
God, I love that show. Or did at least.
Wow.
So she found the phone and she was like, goodbye. But Jamie actually just ended up getting Janelle another phone, which he again hid in the front bushes. They didn't come up with a better idea.
I was gonna say you gotta move it.
She
Like,
didn't find it in the bushes. I
Wow.
think she just found like Janelle using it and
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm like, you had a second opportunity to like do something even cooler.
Yeah, put it somewhere else.
Yeah, you know? But anyway, she continued to use that phone strictly to calls to Jamie. So things went on like this for about 6 months, with Janelle and Jamie sneaking
Oh,
around
frick, I can't
behind
see.
her
I
parents'
can't
back.
see.
But by early 2010, a lot of
Yes!
Janelle's friends kind of noticed a shift in her behavior. It was a pretty big change in her personality. And her personality seemed to shift right around the time that Bill Payne started dating Billie Jean Hayworth. She was a local girl who he and Jamie actually both worked with at the mills. Jamie said that Bill and Billie Jean, quote, hit it right off, and Bill just fell head over heels in love with her.
Oh, and they look like they love each other so much.
I'm
Like all
gonna-
their pictures.
Yeah. I
Oh.
want to take like a little time to talk about the two of them in
Yeah.
depth before we get back to the story. They seem to be meant for each other.
Yeah.
The two of them had a lot in common, and they, like I said,
Oh,
seemed to bring
blood.
out the best in each other. Billie Jean Hayworth had been born in Mountain City, Tennessee on March 19th, 1988. Her parents were Carl and Martha Hayworth. She had two sisters, Janie and Beverly, and two brothers, Greg and Daryl. And when she was growing up, she really loved to be outside. She loved to play volleyball. And the older and older she got, especially when she was a young adult and kind of making her own money, one of the things that she loved to do was go to different like flea markets, yard sales, auctions, and just see what treasure she could find. She
Oh, I
loved
love
like
that.
loved a good flea market flip,
Oh, hell yeah.
which is one of my favorite shows. Now, Bill Payne had been born in Boone, North Carolina on July 10th, 1975,
blood.
to parents Billy Ray Payne, he was
Oh,
named after
blood.
his
Okay,
father.
I
haha.
love all the Billies here.
I do too.
I love it.
And Beverly Duggar.
No,
His
but-
wife,
but-
just like
but- I
Billy-
didn't
or
realize
excuse
this
me, his
third
life, just like Billie Jean's, was average. He got along with his parents, got along with his siblings. He had the sister Tracy that we know about, and also a brother named Josh.
Okay.
And just like Billie Jean, he also grew up loving to go to the flea markets, the
Oh my
auctions, the
God.
yard sales. Only he had a thing for rare coins.
Oh, that's like a really cute niche
Like, how
thing to love.
fucking
like,
cute
that's
is
just
that?
Like, I like rare
I love
coins.
love.
Yeah, I loved
I love
collecting a rare
cuties.
I love
coin.
that.
Or even just like looking at them. Just
Yeah.
that's just
Oh,
like
actually, you know what? My brother JP used to.
yeah.
collect rare coins.
Yeah, I
And
forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, they're
And
very niche
stamps.
things, but they're funny.
That's adorable, JP.
That's adorable, JP.
Now, as he got older, Bill, he unfortunately suffered with an addiction to opioids, and he was also known at this time to sell drugs when things were bad. But at the time of his death, he was getting treatment at a local clinic, and he was working hard to become sober.
Good for him.
He wanted to be the best father that he could be to his kids, because in addition to the young son that he had with Billie Jean, he actually also had a son, Justin, that lived in Florida with his mother.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he couldn't really see Justin very often because he lived in Florida.
Yeah.
But he was trying for his sons.
Yeah.
And for Billie Jean. And by all accounts, Billie Jean was one of the best things to happen to Bill Payne, and she was a really good influence on him. Since she'd come into his life, his friends started to notice he was drinking less, he was showing up to parties less, he wanted to get off drugs and completely away from them for good. He wanted to make a life with this girl.
I love that.
Aw.
But remember, Bill wasn't the only person in a state of change. Janelle was too, but hers was not for the good. Tracy Greenwell noticed the shift and said that Janelle seemed to become mean around the time that Bill and Billie Jean got together.
Ooh.
She'd make comments about Billie Jean and how much she disliked her. When Jamie would tell Janelle that she shouldn't be so hard on this girl because Bill Payne was really in love, Janelle would just make comments about their relationship not lasting. She was like, I give it this amount of time.
Okay.
Or like, it's not gonna last, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, why are you being a hater?
Yeah, that's bad energy.
It is.
Yeah.
And she got even nastier when Billie Jean became pregnant with her and Bill's baby. Janelle would comment that neither of them deserved the baby. And she would say things that I'm not even going to repeat about the baby.
That's
gosh.
She was
terrible.
horrible.
Ew.
Horrible. You
How
can look
dare
it up.
they?
Oh.
How dare she?
Her comments became worse and worse and worse over time.
Y'all
But her
don't
mean spirit
deserve
wasn't just directed
baby?
toward Bill and Billie Jean. A lot of it was, but not entirely. It was even directed at her own boyfriend, Jamie. On one occasion in February, Jamie had gone to a party at Bill Payne's house, and he had too much to drink, so he ended up passing out there. He woke up at some point to his phone ringing off the hook. It had been ringing all night. I don't know if, like, the phone woke him up or if somebody there was like, Jesus Christ, answer your fucking phone.
Yeah.
But when he answered it, it was Janelle's father, Buddy, on the other line.
Oh.
And he told Jamie, quote, Janelle had left the house and they found her in a ditch.
What?
He went on to say that Janelle didn't love Jamie and he needed to stay away from Janelle from that point forward. And then Janelle got on the phone and told Jamie for herself that she didn't love him and she never wanted to see him again.
What the fuck?
Out of fucking nowhere. But then,
What?
3 days later,
I gotta
Jamie
get
got a
Daisy.
call from Janelle telling him that she did love him and she did want to continue on with their relationship, and it was her dad that made her say those awful things to him. From that point forward, she told him that she should be the one to initiate phone calls. I don't know what that was about. I think she,
Okay.
you initiated that phone call.
Yeah,
what are you talking
I don't
about?
know.
But anyways, I think what happened the night of that party, in my personal opinion, I think Janelle was upset for a number of reasons. I think one of the main ones was that she couldn't go to parties like that.
Yeah.
Her parents wouldn't allow her to, even though she was a grown-ass woman. And I think the other thing that she was pissed off about was that this was Bill Payne's party. She wouldn't
Oh.
have wanted to miss that. And I think since she was so angry at him now, she felt like Jamie going to that party was
Like a
him going
betrayal.
against her, betrayal
Yeah.
in some way, by being cordial with his own cousin.
Okay.
And because of that, I think she wanted to punish him and make him feel like something terrible had happened to her because she was so upset over this, which is why her parents found her in a ditch.
Yep.
I also don't know if they actually did find her in a
I was
ditch or
gonna
if they just
say.
made that up.
Or did you just completely make that up?
I could see it being the latter. Honestly, I could see it being the former too, actually.
Truly.
This family's wild.
This is a wild family.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little scared to see what's happening next
You
year.
absolutely should
Yeah.
be. Yeah. I just, honestly, overall, I think this was like a weird, strange ploy for attention. But Jamie, of course, didn't realize that. He liked Janelle. I think she kind of stroked his ego. He was a bit
Yeah.
older than she was. And she was kind of infatuated with him and vice versa. So they continued dating, even though their conversations were limited to really odd hours of the day and night because Janelle didn't want to be caught by her mom talking on the phone with him.
That's wild.
And they weren't able to go on dates because her parents disapproved of him. Now, over time, Jamie's feelings toward his cousin Bill and Billie Jean also shifted, most likely due to Janelle's manipulation. Bill and Jamie had worked together, like I said, at the mills for years. And they had always been close. They'd always gotten along. Remember, Bill was the one to set Jamie and Janelle up in the first place. But now, Jamie was suddenly pulling back from his cousin and was becoming distant, and actually went as far as to request a change in his work schedule so that his hours wouldn't line up with Bill's or Billie Jean's.
What?
Because she also worked at the mills. Now, since Janelle wasn't able to see Jamie very often, and by this point her parents had pretty much forbidden her from seeing any of the rest of the friend group, she poured herself even further into social media. Now it was late in 2010, and it was around this time that Janelle started to mention a man named Chris to Jamie and a lot of her other friends. She told Jamie that Chris was a family friend and neighbor back in Pennsylvania. She said he grew up in the house next to hers. He was really more like a brother to her all throughout high school, and he always watched out for her. And now he worked for the CIA. And she was super, super excited because he was actually going to be transferred to Tennessee soon, and he would actually be buying a house in Mountain City.
Oh,
and she was
boy.
super, super stoked about it. And like I
I feel
said,
like this-
Jamie
this-
wasn't the only one to hear about this Chris character.
I don't think Chris exists.
One of Janelle's friends online, strictly online, they never met in person, Bob Meehan, also remembered that right around mid to late 2010, Janelle kept bringing up Chris more and more frequently. Bob also lived in Pennsylvania,
frick,
where
okay,
she
I
was
thought I
from.
could get him.
And though he'd never met
didn't.
Janelle in person, he actually thought that they were in a long-distance relationship.
Oh.
They texted, they exchanged emails, they were social media friends.
Oh boy.
He thought they were in a relationship.
Okay.
I don't know what she thought. That's that.
But that's that about that.
And that's the tea on that. Now, other friends of hers online remembered her bringing up Chris too, and most of them remembered that she described him as a family friend, not like a love interest or anything like that, just an old friend who now worked for the CIA. Which,
We all have one of those.
aren't you like not supposed to tell people if you work for the CIA?
I'm pretty sure.
Can you tell people that you do?
I don't know what the protocol is. I'm pretty sure like the whole point of the CIA is to be pretty secretive about it. Like
I've always thought that too.
I'm pretty secretive about your whereabouts, but like
Yeah, right?
but sure.
It's like Men in
He's
Black.
moving. Tell everybody. Tell
Weird.
everybody this CIA agent is moving in.
Yeah, via Facebook
Via
too. Like
Facebook.
via Facebook Messenger. I don't see this happening.
Seems legit.
I don't think
Chris
he
is real,
exists.
guys.
This seems real.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He is. He's a real character.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the character.
Exactly.
So this sudden mention of Chris seemed to happen right around the time that Janelle found out Billie Jean was pregnant. And also right around the time that Janelle started complaining to Jamie that she was being bullied and harassed on all of her social media platforms.
Uh-oh.
All of a sudden, these anonymous users started posting all these terrible things about her and on her wall and messaging her. All anonymous users
Okay.
on Facebook.
I was just gonna say on Facebook. I
Yeah.
thought that was hard.
And also, another social media platform she used was Topics.
The fuck is that? I've never heard of that in my life.
Neither had I. I don't know if it just like didn't get big over here, or like what
You
it
don't
was.
know if it didn't get big.
I guess
Like,
it
we
didn't
don't
get
even
big
know.
over here.
Like, do any of you use Topics?
I don't know if it's around anymore. But
Did you use Topics?
guys,
Answer.
It's Topics with an X too.
Topics me. Let me know.
it gave you news based on like where you were, and you could also interact with people in your area, I guess.
Oh, okay. I've literally never heard of
Kinda
that.
sounds
That's
like
fascinating.
The Neighbor app. I don't know what
Oh, yeah.
it's called, but
The neighbor app. I know what you mean.
you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
the one where you can be like, "Hey, did you see that person driving down
Yeah.
the street?"
I
too
never
fast?"
interact in there, but I'm always reading
I
it.
love a neighbor app.
We love. We do be loving.
Those are my social media apps. The neighbor apps where we can all spy on each other.
You know what my favorite social media app is? DoorDash.
Hell yeah.
I communicate with one person and one
Yes.
person only, and they always bring me food. I
great.
shouldn't say always, actually. Sometimes they steal
I was
it.
gonna say sometimes they steal it.
Not very frequently. But anyways, at the same time that Janelle was getting harassed and bullied and la-di-da-do, Jamie started getting texts from Chris. So he is real.
Oh,
He's getting texts from him.
yeah, obvious. Yeah, you can't fake that.
He's like, no, not at all. He's like, Janelle is getting bullied mercilessly, and it needed to stop.
I'd be like, you're the CIA agent. You fix it.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So eventually, Chris started emailing Jamie, telling him more and more about the relentless online bullying and how he needed to put an end to it, being her boyfriend. But strangely, the emails were coming from Janelle's email account.
They're coming from inside the house.
They literally are coming
Yeah.
from inside the house.
Yeah.
And when Jamie asked why that was, Chris told him that he had a phobia of phones and didn't like using them. Apparently, he was also against having his own email address as well.
He has a phobia of phones.
Like, sir, you
As
work
a
for the
CIA
Central
agent.
Intelligence Agency.
I don't like answering a phone call. Like a cold call is pretty
Don't ever fucking cold
it's a
call me.
severe violation in my book.
If
but
we're friends and you cold call me,
yeah,
we're not
there's gonna
friends
be a
anymore.
problem. But
I love
would
a phone call.
definitely not classify it as a phobia. I don't even know if there is a phobia.
I don't
of the
know.
phone.
I think you might have a
I
phobia
know I really
of
don't
like
like the
texting.
phone. But even I don't say. Yeah,
No.
does anyone else get like sorry, I'm going to take you off
No, no,
track
no, go
just
ahead, go
really
ahead.
quick cuz I just need to know. Does anyone else get severe anxiety about texting?
And does anybody else prefer to answer text messages on their laptop?
Yeah, I don't like typing on my phone, and then I get anxious when I get text messages, and then I don't answer them right away because like I am who I am,
And that's
and
all
then
that
I
am.
keep thinking about it, and days go by, and I go, oh no, I'm a week past this text message that I didn't answer,
And then you
I
get
get
anxiety
more
about
anxiety, and then I just, whoo, it's so I hate it. It's
So,
the one thing that I get
I love a text.
lot of
I now
anxiety
love a
about.
phone
You're
call.
waiting on a text back from Elena.
It's
That's
coming.
why.
It's coming. I'm just real anxious about it. Okay.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
She's just really anxious. She'll get back to you soon. Oh.
Yeah. That's my theme
People
song.
are like, is this a Listener Tales episode? What the fuck?
Like, nope. But yeah, I just had to throw that out there.
No, I
so
feel that.
if you feel that way as well, you're not alone.
Well,
I'm
Chris
with you.
felt that way. He said,
Yeah.
no phones,
Chris
scared
feels
of them.
that way.
Yep, the CIA doesn't make us use them.
Nope.
It's also like, okay, you can have a phobia of phones, but where the fuck is your email address?
Well, that's the thing.
Can't you have
Like,
one?
You have not explained all of this, sir.
I have no idea. But Jamie would later say that he could tell the difference between an email or a text that came from Chris because Chris was way more intense than Janelle. Janelle, quote, never cursed, never called people names, or spoke hatefully to people. What a kind soul.
Yeah.
But Jamie said that Chris's communications were full of obscenities, ranting, and harmful wishes toward others, specifically Billie Jean and Bill Payne.
And he's a CIA agent. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
putting together the pieces here. That's probably great qualities to
Yeah.
have in a CIA agent.
Wouldn't you also think, like, in my opinion, I would think that, like, even somebody's monitoring the CIA's communications.
Yeah, I mean, this is adding up. This is legit.
Yeah.
I feel pretty
Yeah.
comfortable
Please
with
go
this.
to get
You
out of
know,
the.
Anyways. But when Chris wasn't going off about the couple, he would give Jamie advice on how to better his relationship with Janelle. You know, because, like, the CIA also doubles as your own personal therapist.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So when Jamie asked Janelle about what was going on online, she told him that this harassment really came out of nowhere. And like I said, I said so many times during this.
Like I said.
Sorry, I will come up with something else. But was a slew of anonymous comments to her Facebook page telling her she was a bad person, and this is intense, that they were going to have her raped.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
That's horrific.
The comments had escalated so much over the course of a couple of weeks that Janelle's mother, Barbara, actually ended up posting her own comment to Janelle's wall, begging the anonymous commentators to stop and please not do this to her daughter.
That's awful.
Like, Barbara was really distraught over this.
Yeah, of course. But just delete your Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah, if that was happening, you gotta
Or
get
just,
out
like,
of
make
there.
a new one with, like,
Yeah.
a different name or
Get
something.
out of there.
But, so Barbara was really, really concerned. But this was interesting because
Ah, frick, is
Janelle's
that the end of the
friends
lap?
didn't
Is that the
really
end of the
seem to be
freaking-
too concerned about this. They felt like there was something really suspicious about all of
I
this.
feel like I
Yeah.
need a faster
And they
car.
didn't really seem to think any of it was real. Tracy Greenwell,
Weird.
Tracy Greenwell later said, quote, Janelle was always saying that somebody was mad at her, somebody hated her, somebody wanted to kill her. She was paranoid about it.
Ah.
So Janelle was frustrated that her friends didn't believe her, and she insisted that the danger she was facing was very real. And over weeks, the tension was building and building, and Janelle was starting to point the finger at 4 people within her very own friend group. A girl named Lindsay Thomas, the first girl who had ever befriended her in this town, Tracy Greenwell,
Ah.
What?
Tracy's brother Bill Payne, and Bill Payne's girlfriend, Billie Jean.
Oh, come on.
Now, within this same time period, Janelle called the police to her home and reported that a rock had been thrown into her front yard, and it had the names Billy Payne and Billie Jean painted on it. And she felt like this was proof that they were the ones behind all the harassment.
Oh yeah, I mean that's how you.
Okay.
So, to retaliate, she started posting on Facebook calling Lindsay Thomas and Billie Jean mean girls, and sharing screenshots that were clearly doctored and manipulated to seem like these girls were harassing her.
Wow.
Doesn't seem like they were.
Wow.
But because of this sudden shift in her behavior and resulting turmoil, pretty much everybody in the friend group ended up unfriending her.
Yeah, of course.
And they all removed themselves from her orbit to kind of save themselves from the drama of it all. And the rest of them
Yeah.
were like, Jesus Christ, when is she going to turn on me?
Of course.
Yeah. So Janelle just kept on posting about them, though. Lindsay Thomas actually called
Can't
Janelle
really
on the
see.
phone on one occasion when she found out that Janelle was writing about her on Facebook. And she was like, please, can you just, like, stop this? Like, you gotta
Yeah.
stop, girlfriend.
What a terrible era we live in,
Oh my god, I know.
where these things are like, this person wrote this about me on Facebook.
Oh god. High school.
It's the pendulum has to swing the other way eventually.
Seriously. And mind you, these are people in their, like 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
It's still happening.
I mean, these other people are being dragged into this. So
Yeah, of
it's
course.
crazy. But some of them kind of start to partake a little bit. I think they start getting pissed off that they've
of
been...
course, people get sucked into that
Exactly.
Ah.
No, anyways, according to Lindsay, Janelle told her when she called her that she had no idea what she was talking about. And she said she wasn't posting anything about Lindsay or Billie Jean, nobody. Yet right after this exchange, Lindsay started getting calls from the Potter's home line where the caller would just breathe heavily, but other than that, say
Are you
nothing at
kidding
all.
me?
Like, girlie, star 69 it.
Seriously.
Come on. But there were a couple of instances, though, where a man got on the phone. Lindsay said she believed this man was Janelle's father, Buddy, and he would demand that Lindsay and her friends leave his daughter alone, stop calling his house, like, end the nonsense. Even though she was the one getting the phone calls. She did not call them.
Wow.
Like, what?
Wow.
So in May 2011, shifting gears a little bit, Jamie Curd's mother passed away. And it was around this time that Janelle's family actually started being more welcoming toward him. They still didn't want Jamie and Janelle to have a relationship with each other, but they were like, you know, you fix our computer, you're decent enough. You can be Janelle's friend, but like, you can't date her.
You can be around.
You can be around. Now he got an invite for family dinners, holiday celebrations. And strangely enough, actually, in no time at all, he and Janelle's father, Buddy, were like thick as thieves. They really hit it off.
Wow.
Now, that same month, May of 2011, Lindsay Thomas ended up filing a multiple telephone harassment charges against Janelle, who still seemed to be calling ever so
Oh my
frequently.
God. Give it up.
Even though Lindsay knew that it was Janelle who was responsible for the calls, since there were 2 other adults that lived in the home, she couldn't prove it, and because of that, there really wasn't a lot that law enforcement could do.
Yeah.
And because she wasn't being stopped by anybody, Janelle continued her social media escapades. And now she was trying to bring more and more of this group of friends, and even people outside of this group of friends, into her feud with Lindsay, Billie Jean, Bill Payne, and Tracy.
Jeez.
One acquaintance of all these people, including Janelle, Tara Osborne, would later end up testifying that when she tried to remove herself from the drama, she got an email from a Facebook account linked to Janelle. She answered the email saying that she wasn't interested in having any part of this. She was like, please, God, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And she was like, Janelle, please don't contact me again. And then she blocked the user.
Okay.
She then started getting phone calls similar to the ones that Lindsay Thomas was getting. But these calls were also from the Potter household, except this caller, quote, tried to make noises from a horror movie and had an insanity laugh.
Tried to make noises from a horror movie?
Unfortunately, no further elaboration on that.
Damn it.
What do you...
I really want to know what that entails.
What would those... Like, do you think she just meant heavy breathing?
Maybe.
Like...
I always... Noises from a horror movie make me think of those, like, really, like the strings that are, like... Like, you know? Maybe
Yeah.
some heavy piano.
Oh, maybe she did like a... Maybe, that'd be fun.
Or she was like,
Don't do that to people, that's not fun.
Freddy's coming for you.
3,
Yeah.
4, you better shut
What's your favorite scary movie? That kind of thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wish that I was like a real person in the 90s and I could
was
have
a
prank
real
called
person.
people and been like, what's your favorite scary movie?
That was literally the most amazing thing to do.
Yeah,
for
fun.
years to come.
Fun. I love it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what
Also
that
an
is.
insanity laugh. I don't really know what
Insanity
that is
laugh.
either.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just hear the Wicked Witch.
Yeah. Yeah, like a cackle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, Osborne also tried to file telephone harassment charges against Janelle, but a clerical error caused her case to be dismissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love those clerical errors.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, while everybody was getting more and more concerned about the situation that Janelle was creating for them, Janelle's CIA buddy, Chris, he was getting pissed the fuck off about the way she was being treated. And now Janelle's parents were hearing about Chris too. And anytime Jamie Curd would come over, he and Janelle's parents would talk about the latest ongoings in the feud and how concerned they were about their sweet, precious Janelle. Janelle's mother, Barbara, commented to Jamie that Chris was, quote, angry and firing back at Thomas and Hayworth with emails, and it was like a war. Yeah. Neither of Janelle's parents really understood what was going on, probably because they were getting skewed information from Janelle.
Yeah.
And really, they just wanted all of this to stop. They were like, what the fuck is going on? And like, where did this come from?
Seriously.
The drama was affecting Janelle's behavior with them, too, and it just felt like a constant barrage of negativity coming at them from all angles.
Yeah.
So this seems to be the tipping point in the story. According to Jamie, Buddy Potter talked a lot about his, quote, missions in other countries during his time in the CIA. Yes, you heard that right. Chris was not the only secret agent in this town, baby.
What?
Buddy Potter also claimed to have worked for the agency.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's that, really.
That's the that on that.
That's the that.
There you go.
But Jamie knew that Buddy Potter was also an avid gun collector. Not only were there tons and tons and tons of guns in the home, but Buddy Potter kept 2 strapped to him at all times.
What?
Okay.
He would have one in a shoulder harness and another in a holster that he kept strapped around his ankle. There's actually a picture that I saw of him and Barbara gardening together, and he has a gun strapped on him and a sling of ammunition.
Oh yeah, I saw that in their gardening.
They're just gardening.
I saw that picture.
And he is fucking packed? Stacked?
Yeah, he's packing.
He's packing.
That's what
that's what it is.
Stacked.
Stacked? I don't know.
Packed? Whacked? Like, what's going on?
I am but a little innocent girl.
Like, I don't know how to say
I'm
it.
like, he has guns.
Don't know how to say it.
There was guns everywhere in this house. He actually had to carry like an oxygen tank around with him. He had like some medical problems of his own. And there was ammunition slung around his oxygen tank.
Dude,
Wow.
you gotta
Like
chill.
a choice and a half.
A bold choice.
Bold move. But Buddy and Barbara both seemed to be getting more and more aggressive about the situation with Janelle, and eager, Jamie felt, to do whatever they needed to end it themselves. And I think he was kind of starting to get a little bit freaked out by this. But at the same time, Jamie would later say that when Buddy and Barbara were getting aggressive, Janelle would just stay quiet. And he was like, I was really confused by this, because whenever we talked about it, Janelle had no problem sharing her opinions freely, discussing the whole entire feud at length with me. But around her parents, he put it that she, quote, acted like a needy kid to a parent.
Manipulation.
At its finest. As the situation intensified, Barbara actually started getting messages directly to her email account from CIA agent Chris. With no last name.
Chris.
Just Chris. Agent number 0001.
Yeah.
He seemed to be really serious when it came to the threats being made against Janelle, and he emphasized to Barbara that everybody should take them seriously, but also noted that he was monitoring this situation very closely and he was ready to jump in and take care of things whenever it became necessary.
Well, thank goodness we have Chris.
I'm saying. And Barbara was terrified for her daughter, which makes me sad. And even though the Chris emails were still coming from Janelle's email account, she fully believed that this online bullying had reached the point where this CIA agent felt like he needed to get involved.
Oh, man.
It's never been made clear whether or not Barbara was diagnosed with any kind of mental illness or if she struggled cognitively, but there are more than a handful of instances where family, friends, and authorities have referenced her as being delusional and needing functional assistance.
Okay.
So I think that's important to keep in mind.
Well, that's sad.
It is, exactly. And I wanted to say that part of it because you might be sitting there being like, Jesus Christ, how does she believe this?
Yeah.
But
like,
we don't know for sure, but it's been implied.
There's possibly more at play.
Exactly. Now, even before Janelle had moved to Mountain City and gone through this falling out with her friends, Barbara was almost overprotective to a fault. Remember what Christine said? She was like, she was always going out of her way
Yeah.
to solve things for Janelle. Like, it wasn't good. But once this whole debacle intensified, it kind of seemed to reach a point where Barbara was paranoid, like really intensely paranoid. And the emails from Chris were only feeding that paranoia more and more.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the summer of 2011, Janelle actually needed to be hospitalized. This was due to poor management of her diabetes, but I think her family felt like it was brought on by what was going on. This actually wasn't uncommon for her to end up in the hospital because of the way she managed her diabetes,
But the timelines.
but the timelines worked exactly.
Alfred. No ad today.
Now, while Janelle was hospitalized, the number of emails from CIA agent Chris to Jamie and Barbara reached a new level. There were tons and tons of emails being received daily, almost like he got like a week off from work or something,
Wow.
about the online issues and Janelle's current situation with being hospitalized. Again, all of these emails were coming from Janelle's account,
That's
but
insane.
they knew that they were from Chris.
Yeah.
One from Chris to Jamie read, quote, I hope Janelle don't think about killing herself. And Jamie responded saying, I think that if it wasn't for us, she might have thought about it. Didn't say it, but I can tell she has just took all she can from these motherfuckers. They won't let up and they're crazy. Hell, I don't know why they have to do this. I don't know. Their life has to such at the point that they see this as a sick joke or something. Dumb bastards.
And here's the thing, if like just stop being on social media.
The end.
Go outside.
Like you're grown adults.
Yeah.
Just interact in life and cut those people out of your life if you
Just
want.
like go play a video
and it's
game
not
if
like
you really
100
have
people
to. Like,
or,
that's
or
the
thousands
thing.
of
Go on
people
Club
leaving
Penguin.
comments.
Like you don't. Nobody
with the
needs
Friday
to like
song.
because even if she was being bullied, it's like you don't need to stand for that. You can just go whoop,
yep,
delete.
turn it off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Bye.
Get a
Unplug the
Neopet.
computer.
Get a fucking
Like
Neopet.
what the fuck?
I'm saying. Well, anyways, Chris wrote back, seemingly trying to comfort Jamie and telling him that he wasn't alone in the fight against Janelle's bullies. Chris was here for Jamie. And he even said that he had Lindsay Thomas
please
under
please don't hit me.
24/7 surveillance at this time, and that he had shot her back glass out of her car. Which, like, I don't know if the CIA, like, shoots people's cars for you if you're being bullied online.
Apparently they
I've
was
never
gonna
had
say,
that
this is-
experience. I've never had a friend who had that experience, but
This is an interesting use of the CIA's time and resources.
one might
That's what
say.
I'll
We're very
say.
close.
One
We're
might-
very close.
Interesting.
Now, I don't think that actually happened, to be honest.
I don't either.
Like, I don't know how. I don't know if anybody followed up on that. If
They were
anybody
just
drove
like,
by
wow.
her car, or if
Yeah.
they just took Chris's word for it. They took Chris's word many times over.
It seems like they lived for Chris's word.
They did.
His word and his word alone.
They lived and died by Chris's word.
coming from
But to
her
be
email.
honest, even though there were pending telephone harassment charges and from time to time rebuttal posts on Facebook from the people that Janelle was pointing the finger at, they were all just going on with their lives and doing the best they could to avoid the drama and avoid Jamie and Janelle. They were like, I can't.
This would be so scary that someone had focused on you like that and you're like, I just want to live my life and like without you in it. Like please
Especially
just go away.
When you never bullied them in
Yeah.
the first place. As we all know, at this point I'm thinking, this came from pure jealousy on Janelle's part to Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Because Janelle had feelings for Bill Payne. She never did anything about it, but because she liked him, she felt like Billie Jean was in the wrong for dating him.
And it's like he's allowed to not like you, to not be attracted to you.
He might have even been at some point in time,
Yeah.
but she never expressed those feelings.
But also he's
didn't-
allowed to not be attracted to you.
yeah,
You can just be friends.
That's
He
a
doesn't have
thing.
to like you just because you're a woman.
Right.
Like, Jesus.
Not everyone is attracted to everyone.
Exactly.
You find people hot that I'm like, I don't think so, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everybody has a different type.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous.
It's freaking ridiculous.
But everybody's trying to move on with this.
Yeah.
And Tracy Greenwell, Bill Payne, Billie Jean, and Lindsay Thomas were really specifically trying to rid themselves of this situation. But at that same time, Chris was making sure that Jamie Curd, Buddy, and Barbara Potter were heavily immersed in this. It was consuming their lives at this
What
point.
a way to live.
Consuming
It
their
sounds like
lives.
a fucking nightmare.
It is. Now, in late October of 2011, Lindsay Thomas actually, her telephone harassment case against Janelle went to court. And unfortunately was dismissed pretty quickly because, again, there wasn't a lot of proof.
I was going to say, those things are so hard to prove, too.
Exactly. Now, this dismissal, though, seemed to embolden not only Janelle, but Barbara Potter. In the weeks that followed, they stepped up their harassment. And actually, just a few days after the court appearance, Billie Jean Hayworth was at a local gas station filling up her car with her baby in the back seat.
Oh, God.
Baby
And
born.
Janelle and Barbara were in the car behind Billie's, and so they followed her into this gas station. And they started screaming at her that she was white trash and that she didn't deserve her son.
Oh, my
That's-
God.
And like a slew of other threats.
I really don't like
Ew.
that, apparently.
According to her close friend
Don't
Linda,
say
who
someone
was
doesn't
actually
deserve a
working
baby.
inside in the gas station at the time, Billie raced into the store with her baby, and she was, quote, crying, trembling, and shaking.
I'm,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
She was terrified of these
Holding
people.
her baby.
Just filling up her car,
Yeah.
going about her day, living her life.
Ugh.
And there was also tension between Jamie Kurt and Bill Payne at this time. The cousins. Like, remember, they're
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Though they didn't have to work together very often at the mill anymore, since Jamie had requested not to be scheduled at the same time as either person, the couple, there were instances where it was inevitable. They were
Yeah.
like, you gotta fucking work together because that's a schedule.
Yeah, that's a schedule.
So during some
This
of
is
those
work.
Yeah, exactly. During some of those instances, there were arguments between the cousins, especially over the fact that Jamie had blindly taken Janelle's side without even hearing his own cousin's account of what was really going on
Yeah.
here. And Bill also knew that Jamie was going back to Janelle and telling her everything that had been said during these arguments, because then Janelle would take to social media and air everything out.
Oh my
So he's
God.
like, I'm trying to talk to you like human to human, man to man.
Yeah. This is so pathetic.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly.
Exactly. Now, finally, there was one night where Bill actually called his cousin Jamie in an attempt to end the feud once and for all. He was like, me and Billie Jean started keeping a record of emails and social media posts and comments directed at us by Janelle and Barbara. And he told him the file was now more than 2 inches thick.
Jesus.
They had that much. But agreed that it wasn't just Janelle and Barbara involved in this fight. He said there were hurtful remarks made on both sides now that they were in the thick of this. But this had all started with Janelle. And now they were reaching a point of being threatened and it needed to stop. He was
Yeah.
like, you gotta do something, dude. As my cousin, like, you gotta stop
Yeah.
this. And he also told Jamie that there was no way an actual CIA agent was involved in this.
No.
And that Chris was clearly Janelle.
Yeah.
I mean, the emails were literally coming from her email account, guys.
They're coming from inside the house.
But
Yeah.
Jamie did not believe that Janelle was capable of doing something like that. And so it seems like the call really ended with no resolution between the
Wow.
cousins.
Wow.
And as the virtual feud was making its way into the real world, the tone of Chris's emails to Barbara Potter was getting graphic and dire. He kept urging her that if she didn't stop all of this soon, then, quote, all of this crap might kill her daughter. He told Barbara that he was ready and willing to kill Billie Jean Hayworth and Bill Payne and
God.
anybody else who posed a serious threat to Janelle. And
I
Chris
missed
also
it.
kept mentioning that he wished Buddy Potter still had his ID from his days in the CIA, because then they would be able to work together to, quote, neutralize this threat.
Wow.
As if the CIA wouldn't have a record of everyone who ever worked for them.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So as Barbara, Buddy, and Jamie were dragged further and further into this strange fantasy-turned conspiracy that Janelle and this Chris character had created, Janelle was still posting under fake names across several social media platforms. She was constantly calling Lindsay Thomas and Billie Jean
frick.
Hayworth mean whores,
Oh.
saying that they should be punished, and making vaguely threatening comments toward the entire group that she considered to be her bullies. Chris actually started
Take the-
using
take the-
Janelle's Facebook account during this
Blood.
time as well, and really amped up in the last months of 2011. In a post
Yeah,
from
it's too
December
sweet now.
14th, 2011, quote, Chris posted a status on Janelle's account saying, to Bill Payne, Billie Jean Hayworth, Lindsay Thomas, and Tara, and Brad Osborne, and etc., please leave, Leve, Janelle alone and stop with the harassment and stop trying to run her life. Look at your own lives and work on that, BC, you are all just a bunch of white trash, no good, ugly people that love to hurt others. Well, you need to think of this. Take care of your kids, Billy and Billie Jean. And Lindy, get off your meth drugs and stop going after my sister and my family. Thank you. Or you can just go jump off a mountain, MTN, for all I care. You all need to get out of my sister's life. You know, CIA things.
That's very CIA. Very much CIA.
Every CIA.
A lot of very professional.
Yes. So these posts were commented on over and over again by Barbara, who started calling Chris her son at this point. Chris had started calling Janelle his sister. So she was like, all right, well, he's my son then.
Ooh, there's a lot going on here.
There's a lot of untreated mental illness, in my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
But pretty much all of these posts just had a slew of comments from Barbara, Chris, and Janelle. They were all talking to each other back and forth. And now Chris was saying that there were not only threats to Janelle's life, but to Buddy and Barbara's as well. He had found evidence that people were after them now.
I don't even know what's happening right now. Like, this is wild.
Wild.com. Now, by the new year, 2012, Buddy believed that Janelle's former friends were working on plans to, quote, take Janelle and cut her head off and then kill him and his wife. Because that's what Chris had said he found. He found these threats. God. So on the evening of January 30th, 2012, Barbara called Jamie Curd and asked if he would stop by the house to take a look at their computer. While Jamie was alone with Buddy, Buddy asked if Jamie would, quote, do him a favor. He wanted Jamie to take him down to Bill Payne's house and, quote, let him out and go down the road and come pick him up.
Okay.
Jamie would later say that Buddy wasn't being very specific about why he wanted to go out to Bill's house that night. So he left and went back to his own home. He was like, I don't know about this. But very early the next morning, like first couple hours of the morning of January 31st, 2012, Jamie missed a call from the Potter household. And then he got a text from Janelle saying that Buddy was on his way to his house. Jamie's house. Mm-hmm. When Buddy got there, they drove in Buddy's car to a church parking lot near the Payne house. And Bill shared the house with not only Billie Jean and their son, but his father as well. Now, Jamie and Buddy waited in the car until they saw Pa Bill, which is Bill Payne Sr., until they saw him leave for work. Then they got out of the car, walked through a small field that was adjacent to the Payne household. Jamie later said that he explicitly told Buddy as they were crossing this field that he couldn't kill anybody, but Buddy told him all he needed to do was stand at the door while Buddy himself went in. What? But if that was the case, then why did Buddy provide Jamie with a gun? Oof. Now, when they reached the front door, they found it unlocked, and both men entered the home. Jamie stood by the front door, he said, this is Jamie's account, and waited while Buddy Potter went to the first bedroom. Jamie would later testify that he heard Bill Payne yell, what the hell? And then he saw Billie Jean run out of the room down the hall. Jamie then heard a gunshot and saw Buddy Porter exit the room where he had clearly just shot Bill Payne.
Oh my God.
He was now looking for Billie Jean, and he looked to Jamie to find out which direction she'd gone in. Jamie said he pointed in the direction where he saw Billie Jean run, and while Buddy went in that direction, Jamie looked into the first bedroom and saw his cousin lying dead.
What the fuck?
As he looked, he heard another gunshot, and at that point, he said he ran from the house, which I don't buy, back across the field and into Buddy Porter's truck. Or excuse me, Potter's truck. Fucking autocorrect. Buddy returned to the car several moments later, Jamie said, and Jamie gave him his gun back, and they silently drove back to Jamie's house, where Buddy dropped him off at the end of his driveway. Jamie said he vomited in the street before going inside, and once he was inside, he received a text from Chris saying that the problem was now over.
Wow.
So
that's horrific.
It's insane. Like,
it was Jamie, was Billie Jean, was she holding her son when she was shot?
Yeah. That's why he was still in her arms.
Oh.
It seemed like she was taking him out of his crib. Like she was
run with him.
To run with him. She was standing in front of his crib, or when she was shot and fell in front of the crib.
Oh,
and luckily, somehow the baby wasn't harmed.
And he was just sleeping?
Just sleeping when they found him.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And that she was going to
Save her baby. I think she probably was going to run out the back, but obviously was taking the baby first.
Yeah. Oh.
So at 6:30 that same morning, Brad Osborne, who I think was like a bigger part of the friend group because I don't know if he was related to the woman from earlier who had gotten involved in all of this or if he was dating her or married to her.
Mm-hmm.
But he had been involved in this whole saga. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
He arrived at the Payne house to pick Bill up for work. When Bill didn't come outside after a few minutes, Brad tried to give him a call, but due to a quote-unquote disruption in his cell service, he wasn't able to connect to the call.
Okay.
He either didn't have service or his phone had been turned off for some reason. He didn't want to leave without Bill, though. He was like, let me go in and see what's up. And he decided to go inside and check on his friend. So he entered the home through a sliding glass door at the rear of the house because he knew that door was usually left unlocked. And once he got inside, he said he heard an alarm clock going off over and over again, but when he called out to Bill, he got no response. He used the house phone to call Bill's cell phone again, but he couldn't hear it ringing. So he was like, I don't really know what to do here. I don't think he wanted to venture more into the home because I think maybe he felt like he was doing something wrong by being there. So he called a couple more times, didn't hear anything, so he decided to leave. Now, around 10 a.m., just a few hours later, the Payne's old neighbor, Roy Stevens, stopped by the house to pick up some mail that they'd been holding for him. And he noticed that both cars were still in the driveway. And he was like, that's kind of weird. Like, they should be at work, or at least one of them should be.
Yeah.
And he knocked on the door and got no response, though. And he's like, all right, well, that's even weirder. Both cars are here. Why is nobody answering the door?
Yeah.
And he also knew that the Paynes usually left that back sliding glass door unlocked. So he went around back to get in that way. Once he was inside, he called out, telling whoever was home that he was there, but he got no response. He thought this was weird, so he walked down the hall to the front bedroom. He poked his head inside, and he saw Bill lying on the bed. There was blood pooling around his head, and his throat had actually been cut open.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than
Roy
just a
ran out of the
gunshot.
house and told his wife, who had come along for the ride, what was going on and urged her to call 911. But his wife, Linda, was CPR certified, and he wasn't sure whether Bill was still alive or not.
Yeah.
He couldn't tell.
How would you know?
Exactly. So Linda tried to perform CPR, but she was going to, but she found Bill to be, quote, very stiff and ice cold.
Oh.
So she knew CPR wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
And she picked up the house phone to call 911. As Linda was on the phone with the 911 operator, Roy heard a noise coming from the end of the hall.
Bobby?
I think it was the baby.
Oh.
He followed the noise and found Billie Jean lying on the floor in front of her son's crib with the baby still in her arms.
Oh, that just kills me.
Luckily,
Don't
like I
deserve
said,
that baby.
unharmed. When he found Bill Payne's body, like I said, he thought there was a chance he was still alive. But when he saw Billie Jean, he knew she was not alive. He said that he saw the hole in her head, a pool of blood around it, and he saw, quote, fragments of Billie Jean's hair and stuff on the carpet.
Oh God.
Like, absolutely, I can't imagine finding somebody you love like that.
No.
Now, once the bodies were taken into custody, it was obvious that this was a homicide, and thus an autopsy was required by law. So the coroner was able to determine that even though Bill had that deep gash in his throat, in both cases, the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head from a .38 caliber revolver.
Okay.
So the case was assigned to Johnson County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Joe Woodward, and he was to get assistance from a real Special Agent Scott Lott of the
An actual
Tennessee
one.
Bureau of Investigations, or the TBI. I
Yes,
also
we
love
get
that his name is Scott Lott.
Scott Lott.
That's fucking awesome.
Agent Scott Lott.
Agent Scott Lott is on the case. So the duo started off by questioning friends and family of the murdered couple, and pretty instantly they heard about the social media war going on between them and a few other people in town and Janelle Potter. I keep wanting to say Porter.
I know.
They did, however, learn that Bill Payne had been using and dealing drugs at the time of his death through interviews, and they also had found a small amount of meth within the home and a pipe.
Okay.
So they were like, oh, like
Like,
that.
this could be a lot of things.
Exactly.
Not much meth,
Complicated
baby, just a
things
tiny
for
Mhm.
just a minute, really.
Yeah.
Investigators were like, is there some kind of connection between these deaths here and a local drug scene? But they were quickly able to learn that Bill was not a major player in the scene at all. He was a small-time dealer. He really only dealt to his friends, and none of those people had any reason to want him or Billie Jean dead.
Yeah.
So that kind of fizzled out pretty quickly. And the only other lead that they had to follow up on was the ongoing social media feud. So on February 1st, the day after the couple had been murdered, Woodward and Lott went out to the Potter household to interview the family about their relationship with the murdered couple. They acted like they were in shock and told both investigators that they had just heard about the murders on the news that morning. And when the investigators asked about the issues that Janelle had been having with the murdered couple and the other former friends, she told them that Lindsay Thomas and Billie Jean Hayworth had been unhappy about telephone harassment cases having been dismissed. But since then, there hadn't been any further problems between them.
Okay.
Lies.
Yeah.
Japanese
She
Kit
did say, though, that both women had hacked her Facebook account and created a ton of fake profiles.
Oh.
And for months, they harassed Janelle and other friends that she'd made virtually. They
Oh,
just went
wow.
out and harassed everybody she ever knew on her friends list.
Yeah.
It's like weird that that happened on your IP address
That's
if it was
wild.
them. Woodward and Lott asked why the other members of the group would say that actually she was the one doing the harassing. And she told them, quote, No, I'm not that mean. I just tell people to leave me alone. And she said she thought the women were jealous of her because she was too pretty
Janelle said this?
about herself.
Okay.
Which is like, that's great that you have
Have
a good
confidence,
self-image,
by all
like you've got
means.
confidence, but
But that's not it.
also, like, we're talking about a murdered woman here,
Yeah.
and you think she was jealous of you because
'Cause
you're
you're
too
too pretty.
pretty. Like, let's come back down to earth.
I was just gonna say, come on down to earth. friend.
exactly like, sure, you're pretty, but okay, like what? So she said she also felt like they didn't accept her because she hadn't been born and raised in Mountain City, and they didn't like outsiders. That was her excuse for everything that had ever happened to her in Mountain City. It was everybody else in Mountain City's fault, not
Yeah,
hers.
of course.
Because
That's
they didn't
always
like
how it works.
outsiders. Meanwhile, they seemed to be pretty fucking welcoming.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Tracy went out of her way to introduce Janelle to her entire friend group.
Yeah. They
Like-
introduced her to her boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
But she explained that no matter how much she begged them to stop, they just wouldn't. They terrorized her. They told her they were going to kill her parents. They said they were going to rape her. And they repeatedly told her that they hoped she would die on these fake accounts. And Buddy and Barbara sat alongside their daughter and confirmed everything she'd told them. They added that there had been people shooting at the house recently, throwing rocks in the yard with weird names printed on them. And that one day when Janelle was home alone, somebody had come by and kicked in the garage door.
Oh,
Yeah, crazy.
look at that.
Crazy.
Crazy.
So
You
the-
crazy girl.
You crazy girl. The more and more they heard, the stranger this all sounded. This is an agent for the Bureau of Investigation.
And he's like,
what the fuck?
He's like, I don't think so.
And what stood out as particularly strange to Agent Lott in particular was that Janelle seemed to be minimizing Jamie Curd's involvement. He was like, I thought he was a bigger part of this whole friend group. Like, so why? And he didn't know that Jamie Curd was Janelle's boyfriend, but he suspected it.
Ah.
Because Janelle actually, remember, her parents still didn't know they were
Oh,
dating.
yeah, because they're just supposed to be friends.
She denied that she and Jamie were romantically involved. Yeah. And she seemed to be steering any questions they had about him in the opposite direction. Like, anytime they asked about Jamie, she danced around it.
Okay.
And it's like, why are you trying so
Yeah.
hard not to talk about Jamie? She was like, nope, we're just friends, and sometimes he comes by to help the computer. The end.
Okay.
She was going out of her way to talk about anything and anyone other than Jamie, which only made investigators want to talk to him even more.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It was a horrible idea. So the first interview they had with Jamie was 2 days after this. It was a pretty unproductive meeting, other than the fact that he agreed to take a polygraph test. Other than that, he claimed he knew nothing about the murders. He really didn't have anything to say. But then he was picked up again for an interview on February 6th. And this time, investigators would get the break in the case that they'd been hoping for. In his previous interview, Jamie had failed that polygraph test miserably.
Of course he did.
Miserably.
Not one part of me believed he was going to pass that or even slightly pass that.
Which, like, again, who knows if they're even fucking
Exactly,
real or
but,
not,
like-
but, like, woof.
This one works.
Yeah, I'm for this one. He specifically got, like, really bad reviews, I guess. I don't know how to put
He got
it.
bad reviews.
when he responded no to whether or not he knew the identity of Payne and Hayworth's killer.
He got bad reviews.
He really flunked that question.
like a whole group of people, a whole group of internet trolls came in and were like, I wish I could give this 0 stars.
I would give this 0 stars. At this answer, I would give it 0 stars if I could. We were all rooting for you. It's not funny, but it is.
But that part's funny.
That part's funny, exactly. But he did really bad on that question.
He got bad reviews.
He got bad reviews overall. Now, when the investigators told him this, that he had gotten such bad reviews, he finally said that he did play some role in the murders.
Ooh, he confessed.
He was just like, you know what?
He's
I
like,
did
you know
it."
what? Yeah.
But that it was Buddy Porter. God damn it, Potter.
Jesus.
Potter. Autocorrect messed me up once, and then
And that's it.
the rest is history. Buddy Potter had pulled the trigger both times, Jamie said. He also asked while he was in his interview if anybody from the CIA was there, which greatly confused the detectives. They were like, no.
They're like, no, we're local detectives.
They don't
Thank you."
usually come around for this type of thing.
No.
But like, why do you ask?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm just wondering.
No, it's
Nobody from the CIA
important.
is here? Chris?
Secret stuff. Chris, are you there?
Yeah. And they were like,
Also,
"Oh."
it's like, fuck you, Jamie. You pointed in the direction of Billie
Of a
Jean
mother.
going to save her child.
a
you piece of shit.
23-year-old
Yeah,
mother.
you
like,
piece of
you're
shit. You're all pieces
and
of
your
shit.
cousin's like probably soon to be wife.
Yeah.
Like, what is
The
wrong
mother of
with
his
you?
child.
Exactly. The mother
Ugh.
of your third cousin. Is that how that works?
I don't know how that works.
But yeah,
Family.
The mother of your family and
Yeah.
your family. But anyway, the detectives asked Jamie after he confessed to call up Buddy Porter and see if he could get him to talk about what had
Yeah.
happened. That way they could try to get a taped confession. So Jamie called the house that same night, February 6th. And there was some small talk between him and Barbara at first because she was the one to answer the phone. During this little small talk, Barbara said that she'd gotten an email from Chris telling her that Jamie had been arrested, and she asked him point blank, have you taken a lie detector test? And if you did you pass it? He lied to Barbara and he said, I did, but I passed it. No.
No.
And he was like, can I talk to Buddy? So she puts him on the phone. Buddy gets on the phone and immediately asks Jamie if he, quote, got rid of everything from Bill's.
Wow.
Jamie responded telling Buddy that he had, and Buddy said, okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
I'm so happy that he's a fucking idiot.
Me
That's
too.
great. I'm really
Samesies.
glad he's a fucking idiot.
Samesies. So now investigators were able to get an arrest warrant for Buddy Potter based on Jamie's confession and that phone conversation, and they were also able to get a warrant to search the Potter home for evidence.
Good.
Yeah, we're winning. Buddy was taken into custody without incident, and the authorities who searched the home were able to seize a shit ton of potential evidence, including, but not limited to, the family computer, a spiral notebook containing the passwords to a large amount of social media accounts,
Ah.
2 guns, which I'm like, that's it, one of which was a .38 caliber pistol. And as one investigator approached a stack of papers next to the couch where Barbara and Janelle were sitting, Barbara started grabbing the papers and ripping them in half.
Are you shitting me?
As if there weren't multiple officers and agents sitting there right in front of her.
They're like, gal,
Ma'am,
you can't do that.
you've pressed an incorrect key.
Wow.
So Agent Woodward was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop and give me those. So she had to hand them over. She had no choice. And what those papers were a large number of printed emails and screenshots from social media, which included several photos printed out of Billie Jean Hayworth, one of which had been labeled Billy Whore.
Oh my god.
Like,
They're just living in this house with fucking printed out screenshots of social media.
yes.
A
The
psychopathic
most
itself.
pathetic group of human beings I have ever heard of. Like, this is... Wow.
Sick. And it's just like twisted.
This 23-year-old woman, this 23-year-old mother,
yeah.
you're sitting there writing Billy Whore? Like, oh, go fuck yourselves.
Like, what is wrong with you?
God.
It's giving like if the Firefly family was like really invested in Facebook.
honestly, the Firefly family is so much fucking cooler than this.
Absolutely, but like,
Way cooler than these
you know
assholes.
what I'm saying? It's just like, it's yucky.
Oh,
It's dirty.
honestly, they're like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family,
Yes.
to be quite honest.
Like just sitting in a house
like
like
the Fireflies are at least fun.
filled with guns and ammunition
just,
and
like-
social media printouts and pictures of victims.
Yeah, instead of like raw meat, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family,
was
they have
real.
social media printouts everywhere.
In
Terrible.
the original one, it was all real.
Yeah, they had
How
to sit in that really
fucked
hot
is
room
that? For like
Yeah.
a long ass
Yeah.
time. Listen to scream.
But yeah, they're that family.
Yeah, for realsies. So during Buddy's interrogation, he decided, he denied having any involvement in the murders and said that Jamie was just throwing him under the bus.
Oh, shut up.
He reiterated that Janelle was being harassed by these people, and he actually added his own account into the mix, telling both of the investigators one time he had been in a public bathroom and he heard people, quote, talking about kidnapping Janelle from this bathroom, taking her to a field, raping her because she was a virgin, and murdering her. And they were like,
wow.
yeah, that sounds legit.
Wow.
Like, what?
No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, that didn't.
No. Yeah, no.
So Woodward and Lott then shifted the conversation because they were like, I don't really know where to go from here. I guess we'll turn all the lights down now. But
Wow, look at you.
But anyways, they switched the topic of conversation to Janelle's relationship with Jamie. But Buddy insisted that they were just friends and that any feelings either of them had toward the other had been, quote, straightened out a long time ago.
Ew.
Like, what?
Like, what
Why
are
can't-
you?
Why can't she just have feelings for this man?
You're just like, you're so gross.
He said that Jamie would never have been capable of taking care of his daughter, and that was why he and Barbara wouldn't allow the relationship.
Man.
Weird. So Buddy's interview went on for hours. He repeatedly denied having any involvement in the murders. He said he knew Bill Payne was a drug dealer and that this whole thing was probably a drug deal gone bad. But this all changed when the agents brought his wife Barbara into the equation. They were like, well, does Barbara know that you did this? Does Janelle know that you did this? And he broke down.
Whoa.
The bringing his wife and his daughter into it somehow broke.
No.
So as they saw that he was breaking down, they were like, why don't you call Barbara? You gotta let her know. Like,
Wow.
they were playing like, you
That's
know,
high level
I get it.
interrogation shit.
Give her a call.
Wow.
You know? So he gets Barbara on the phone and he confesses, telling her that he killed Billie Jean and Bill, quote, because of what they tried to do to her and Janelle.
Wow.
And Barbara kept trying to save face, though, and she said on the phone multiple times, no, you couldn't have been involved. Quote, you were here on the night of the murders. I saw you. You're not guilty because you were here. You have to say that.
See, to me, that sounds like there's something going on there. Like
Wait,
the
what do you
way
mean?
the way she said that seems like she's like like we said, there seems to be some undiagnosed mental illness happening here.
Definitely.
And that response to me is like, no, you told me that I was supposed to say this.
Yeah, like you
know
have
what I
to
mean?
say
Like
that.
no, like this is the
Right.
story.
I was like, wait, you mean you don't think he did it?
Oh no, I do.
I was like, what?
No, he definitely did it. But like, I think her response is very telling of where her
Head
mind
was at.
was.
I agree, totally. It's also like, ma'am, this is a recorded line. Don't
Yeah.
say you have to say that.
Yeah.
Like, don't know.
That's why.
But Buddy wouldn't, and he'd already confessed anyway.
Of
And
course.
then this phone call was even more damning.
Yep.
So remember how I said that Jamie had asked about the CIA in his second interview and the cops were like, what?
Yeah.
He explained to them then that there was this CIA agent named Chris that was a family friend of the Potters and that it was his duty, his assignment to keep Janelle safe.
Wow.
And they were like, I think this is all random nonsense. Like, I don't know what you're
Yeah, like,
talking about, but
what?
like, I don't have time to deal with that right now. But as they continued to search the Potter household, they would find out just how serious Jamie was being and just how scared he was. They took into custody multiple trash bags of shredded paper that had been found in the back of Buddy's truck. It took them about a month, but they were able to reassemble the over 100 pages that had been shredded.
What?
Like, imagine.
Holy shit.
And when they did, they realized that this entire case was a very strange conspiracy theory involving someone who claimed to be a CIA agent that had been, quote, corresponding with Barbara and warning her about threats to her daughter's life. That was like the theme of those emails that they
Yeah.
were able to put together. So they tried and tried and tried to locate a CIA agent with the description of Chris. But they were never able to find anybody who slightly resembled that description
Why is that?
in the CIA.
What?
I know. I really buried the lead.
Holy shit! Talk about a plot twist.
They couldn't find him. It was like he didn't even work there.
It's like he doesn't even exist.
It's like that.
Oh my goodness.
So the deeper
Gracious.
and deeper, you said gracious, that they dug, they realized, and I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear, that Chris was just one of Janelle's online personas.
What?
It was her all along.
Oh, I had no idea.
But to Barbara, Chris was very, very real. They had exchanged a myriad of emails and texts, and Barbara even shared pictures of him on social media saying, Chris, our son.
Oh, that's very sick.
What's even sicker, what's even more fucked up, is that those pictures were of a man named Chris. A guy that Janelle had gone to high school with.
Oh my.
They weren't friends. They
This random guy named Chris who she went to high school with?
yes.
Can you imagine being Chris?
He ended up being called to testify in this case.
Oh my god, poor Chris.
I know.
Oh, that sucks. I would be so fucking angry.
I would be pissed,
I'd
and that's
be
why everybody
raging.
should go delete Facebook right now.
Yeah, go delete your Facebook. Fuck that.
Can you imagine? She just took them off of his account.
Oh my god, I would be irate.
Just
like
this-
I would be on that stand being like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody.
Because
like, are you kidding
Well,
me?
and then they're like, "Okay, do you have any connection to her?" And he was like, "No, we went to high school together."
Oh, that
Like, I don't.
sucks.
It doesn't even seem like they were friends in high school.
Oh, that sucks.
yeah.
Poor Chris.
Poor Chris.
Wow.
So once investigators reassembled the shredded communications and looked at them with more context, DA Dennis Brooks developed his own theory about the origins of this Chris character. He said, quote, "Social media allowed Janelle Potter to be somebody that she wasn't. She invented Chris so that she could be as hateful as she wanted to be.
Yep.
And Chris had entered the picture right around the time that Billie Jean and Bill Payne started dating, and it was clear reading through the communications that this man was not a CIA agent.
Yeah.
He focused on how pretty and sweet Janelle was, not at all your typical behavior.
No.
And then they realized that all of the communications from Chris and anyone he spoke with, whether it be through mail, social media, or text, all came from Janelle's accounts.
The
Yeah.
fact that that was just overlooked,
Even
like it was
her
just
phone
like,
number.
Come on.
Like when these people were getting texts from Chris, it was coming from Janelle's phone.
Yeah. The
her
call's
phone
coming
number.
from within the house. It always is.
Also, when they compared Chris's writing with Janelle's, it was identical. She
Yeah.
had a very specific style of writing. She often made spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes, and coincidentally, Chris made those exact same ones.
Wow.
Particularly, like she spelled worry, WORRIE.
I do
Oh,
that a
so
lot
did
too.
yeah,
Chris.
those are very specific.
Like there's a few others that
Just
I didn't
that
end up
one is
waiting
very
down, but like
specific.
they're all very
Interesting
specific.
that other people do
and
that.
it's very specific words. There's
Yeah.
a few more I wish I'd written them down. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Buddy Porter and Jamie Curd were indicted for the murders, and while some Mountain City citizens were
Ah,
shocked, many who worked in law enforcement or law administration were not at all shocked by this.
Really?
They had become familiar with Janelle and her parents throughout the years that they'd lived in
Yeah.
Mountain City. The mayor, Mike Reese, put it this way to the press: "Once you've crossed Janelle, you've crossed her father too."
Ooh.
Even the stranger aspects of the case actually sounded familiar to anybody who had a quote-unquote run-in with Janelle. The mayor, this girl was on the mayor's radar.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
He actually said, this is wicked bizarre. He
Wicked
actually,
bizarre,
I said I
Ken.
did that on purpose. He said that a year or so earlier, the Potters were upset, specifically Buddy, had called him and said that, quote, "the 911 director had taken Janelle off his list."
What?
The mayor literally had no idea what this meant, but knew that Janelle Potter was always up to some kind of scheming and telling her mom and dad that she was the one being schemed.
So Janelle is just just
She's
manipulating her
stirring
parents
shit up.
all
It's
the
just
time.
like her sister said. Her sister was like, she manipulates
Yeah,
you guys into doing
absolutely.
whatever she wants you to do, including fucking murder.
Holy shit.
So Buddy's trial began in October of 2013, and there was obviously a shit ton of evidence and taped confessions going against him. Although the motives and the events leading up to the murders were, like, kind of complicated, I guess, the prosecutor's argument was pretty straightforward. They put it like this, quote, Barbara, Buddy, and Jamie are not sophisticated people. They were easily misled by Janelle, who knew which buttons to press. Jamie was lonely and vulnerable to a younger woman stroking his ego. He'd never been out of Mountain City, never been popular. Barbara also had some kind of mental disorder in which there always has to be a controversy or conspiracy going on. She was fixated on conflicts. Buddy liked to think of himself as a government operative. Most people figured Janelle out, that she was a bit of a fantasist. That's why she struggled to make and keep friends. But not these three. It was the perfect storm.
Jesus. Whoa.
So Janelle, that's why I was so excited when you said, like, oh, it's like the fantasy.
Yeah,
of it all. I was like,
Yeah, no.
I was like, you got it.
You got it.
Janelle knew that her parents were incredibly overprotective and also knew that they didn't really understand social media. So she used Chris to amplify fake threats against her and eventually threats to everybody else in the family, making them feel like they were unsafe.
Yeah.
She was manipulating everybody around her to murder these people that she perceived to be her enemies for some reason or another. She also knew that what Jamie's weaknesses were, and she exploited him. She knew he was in love with her and that he was desperate to be accepted by her family. So she inserted him right into the drama, had him get buddy-buddy with her dad, and figured out a way for the two of them to want to protect her and be willing to murder to protect her.
Wow.
And when he asked why would he believe that he was talking to a CIA agent without any evidence of it at all, Jamie answered, well, I mean, I thought Chris was real. I mean, I thought there was someone that I was talking to there, and that Janelle, the way she would talk to me, it was like bonding, like a family.
Wow.
Like, I think she just manipulated the shit out of these people.
That's the thing, like, this is wild how she was able to manipulate these people.
I think that they just blindly believed her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was about her story. I don't know what it was about their relationship with her.
Wow, this is, like, really sick.
Yeah.
All the way around.
It is. So needless to say, in October of 2013, Buddy was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 2 life sentences.
Oh, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Jamie Curd pled guilty, but since he agreed to testify against Buddy Potter, he was given a lesser sentence, and he got 25 years in prison.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised he got that. I was hoping he would get that.
I am too.
You know how these things usually shake out.
Because, well, they weren't able to prove who had really done the killing.
That's the thing.
You know, like,
yeah.
Still to this day, nobody knows.
That's the story, but...
That's the story, and still to this day, nobody knows who was the one to slash Bill Payne's throat.
I was going to ask that, because I didn't hear that come up, so it's like...
No.
Yeah,
What the
because
hell
you've been
happened?
Adele's boyfriend.
It's Buddy's word against Jamie's. Nobody else was there.
Are both of them saying that the other one did it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Buddy says that... I'll get there. But Jamie said that Buddy did everything.
Okay.
He said he was just the lookout.
He was
basically.
there, the lookout.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, there was no doubt that Jamie and Buddy had been the ones to go out there and kill Bill and Billie Jean, regardless of who pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
But investigators also at the same time knew that Barbara and Janelle played a key role in orchestrating this entire thing. If it
Yeah.
weren't for them, this wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely.
But the problem was that it was going to be kind of difficult to prosecute a person for murder if they weren't actually present for the killings.
Yeah, of course.
But this DA was willing to try, and just a few months
Good.
after Buddy's conviction, a grand jury did end up indicting both Janelle and Barbara Potter for murder and for tampering with evidence.
Good.
There was a lot of holdup going into trial. I think so many technicalities, and like this is a very unprecedented thing
course.
to try 2 women for a murder who weren't actually at the murder site. But eventually they got there, and the double trial began May 2015. They were being tried at the same time.
Okay.
DA Dennis Brooks was facing multiple hurdles, but made pretty much the same case to the jury that he had in Buddy's trial. Even though neither women before the jury had pulled the trigger, the murders, just like I said a minute ago, would not have happened if it
Freaking
weren't for
Waluigi.
them. The way that the DA put it to ABC News, Janelle kind of spurred it, and Barbara got it to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
Now,
good.
the evidence presented to the jury was damning, to say the least. It showed them exactly who Janelle was. A woman caught up in some kind of fantasy turned conspiracy that eventually ended up in murder. And it never seemed like either woman was unaware that their implications could have led to murder. And it really didn't seem like they gave a shit about the consequences of those implications.
Yeah.
They both wanted these people dead and knew they would get there. So it took about a week to get through testimony and all the evidence. And at the end of the trial, both of them were found guilty on all counts.
Damn.
And both were sentenced to life in prison.
Holy shit, really?
Janelle will be 80 years old before she's eligible for parole. And if Barbara and Buddy were to
Damn.
serve their full sentences, they'll die in prison.
Wow.
But after being sentenced, Buddy started claiming he was innocent. And then in a 2021 appeal, he told the court, right now, Barbara and my daughter both know that I did this. So first he was maintaining his innocence. Then he said that
Now
they
he's
knew
like,
he did it.
they know I did it.
But like I was saying earlier, he alluded that it was Jamie Curd who had killed Billie Jean. He said, I killed Billie Payne. He killed Billie Jean.
Okay.
And Jamie Curd said, I didn't kill either of them. I was just the lookout.
Yeah.
Now, this 2021 appeal case was actually an attempt by Barbara and Janelle's lawyers to get both women a new case. These lawyers argued that the court had denied them crucial information that would have aided them in the defense. But the appeal ended up being dismissed and the verdict was upheld because neither lawyer could actually produce any evidence of that crucial information.
Yeah.
I fucking love when people can't back up their arguments.
That's my favorite thing ever.
Unfortunately,
My favorite thing is when somebody's like, no, like this.
You did this.
You did this. And then you're like, okay, can you just like show me a piece of thing that says that? And they're like, no, I can't.
No.
It's like, why'd you even bring that up?
Exactly.
Because before you were dumb, but like now you look dumb.
Right.
So
Like now I've proved that you're dumb.
now I've proved you're dumb.
So that's what's
It's not good for you.
That's what's proven here. Redonkulous. So unfortunately, though, the court did find evidence supporting a claim made by Barbara that since she was tried in the same trial as her daughter, there was a conflict of interest that may have impacted her sole case. So because of this, she was granted her own new trial. But the DA didn't want to go through with another trial. And I think they probably thought like it wasn't going to happen 2 times that they found her guilty
Yeah.
when she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So instead, they offered her a plea deal. If she pleaded guilty to 2 counts of facilitation of first-degree murder, she would get a lesser sentence.
Okay.
She took the deal, and she was resentenced to 25 years in prison.
Wow.
With a requirement that 30% of the time be served before she's eligible for parole.
Wow.
Since she had already served 8 years at this point, she will be eligible for parole this year, 2023.
Oh, shit.
And that is the story, the tragic story, of the Facebook
I feel like the mom
murders.
didn't do much.
Wow. That is so sad
And just so
on every level.
senseless.
So senseless. Like this like young couple, he seemed
Just
like he
starting
was like
out.
really trying to get his life together.
Yeah.
Trying to get on a good track. They have a
Mhm.
little baby.
Yep.
How old was the baby again?
7 months old.
7 months.
7
Never know.
months
We'll
old.
never know his parents.
No.
Oh, and finding out later the trauma of what happened
Oh my god.
and that you were asleep in her arms, like that's like Dexter.
Literally.
Like
Literally.
that's literally the storyline of Dexter.
That's actually crazy
Like,
that you
holy
said that. Yeah, like,
shit.
they found him like covered in his mother's blood.
Oh, that's awful. That's
Yeah.
awful.
And thank gosh he was unharmed. Like
I know. Oh,
if that baby had been harmed, I honestly don't think I would have been able to tell
yeah,
the story.
no, but holy shit.
But all because this girl had feelings for Bill that she never even voiced.
yeah, that's. I mean, wow.
So,
Wow.
like we always say,
I'm like speechless. by
social
this.
media is the root of all evil.
It really
And
is.
this proves it.
It's just become a thing where it's like, what's the fucking point
Why are
anymore?
we here?
Honestly, what's the point?
Legit. It's
Get
so
an
true.
email address.
Get an email address.
That's it.
Don't even get an email
Yeah.
address. Just have a phobia of phones.
Just have a phobia of phones like,
Like
Chris.
CIA agent.
Chris.
No one.
Just Chris.
It's just Chris.
It's like Madonna. It's just Chris. Everybody knows me. CIA agent Chris.
So hot right now.
Wow.
Well, guys, we hope you keep listening.
And we hope you
Keep
it
weird. But not so weird that you catfish your own parents and that this happens because, wow, that would be
Jesus.
so tragic and you shouldn't ever do that. Don't lie to people. It's rude.
Don't.
It's horrible.
I I think I am going to do another episode just because I've got nothing else to do tonight. It's 10 o'clock. I have to go to bed tonight. Never mind. All right. Peace. Till next time, God bless, and I'll see you in a nunnery.